how cool is it that here we are in snowy December talking about our book club? We've had 11 books that we've read. That makes sense. We've read a book for every month except for December when we took it off to talk about other books we've read.
That's great.
That makes sense.
This was one of my hopes for 2019 was to read more, and so Michele, you and Matt have made that possible, and the local library has made that possible. So here we are. We're having our book party. We have morsels there for everyone to eat,
Yum.
and we're going to introduce January's book. But let's get right down into it. Matt, do you want to give kind of a run through of what we've read this year?
Well, gosh, we
Radio Book Club.
Radio Book Club. So in January, we read You Are a Badass Every Day by Jen Sincero. In February, we read Educated, a memoir by Tara Westover. In March was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. April was The Chef by James Patterson with Max Delalo. May was The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. June, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. July was Less, a novel by Andrew Sean Greer. August was Foundation by Isaac Asimov. In September, we kind of had two. So the recommendation was The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein.
Yes.
But we also discussed Make Your Bed by Admiral William H. McRaven, retired. In October, The Library Book by Susan Orlean. And in November, The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
What a big list of genres there, and so many books. And in thinking about them now, I'm going, oh my gosh, we did read a lot. We read a lot of nice books. I like it.
Yeah, we read a ton of them.
We did. So I think at this point we're going to go through and list our favorites. Get the party started here, and and I have to say this was hard for me. It was really hard because I had a lot of favorites. But let's make Matt go first.
Matt.
Oh, the token dude in the book club.
Come on, Matt.
Poor Matt.
All right. Well, I was thinking about this because, every month we would go through and say, well, what did you think about it? Rate your book.
Yeah.
And I'll admit at times I can be critical. But I also try to be open to, each book speaks to individuals differently. So I really enjoyed the most Where the Crawdads Sing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I and mostly because I was looking back at what book do I just sort of feel like I recall the most, or there's some sort of tie, not like checking the box off, like, oh yeah, that was a compelling story. I remember the most about it, maybe. I enjoyed Less. It was just kind of a fun character, fun romp.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that when I was thinking about our conversations after the fact that you said a lot was like, wow, there's a lot of trauma. We're reading about a lot of trauma. And it was kind of nice to have some humor, And then there was a little trauma in that too, but not a ton.
Well, I mean, think about it. If you don't have some sort of, protagonist or trauma, then you don't really have a story to try to overcome either.
True. Yeah.
Not poo-pooing that. But also, I would say in third place, I'm going to pick The Chef.
There you go.
I knew it.
And that was your
because to me, it was just kind of a fun read. I didn't have to think about it much. It was just enjoyable vacation.
And you did. You were on vacation when you read it.
I was on spring break, sitting in the warmth.
So that was a perfect one for you. So first place for you, Where the Crawdads Sing, and then you had Less and The Chef. All right, Michele.
I have the same first two.
Wow.
I loved Crawdads, and I just kept thinking about it when I was done reading it, and I think that's for me the mark of a good book is that it's done and it still comes back to me, or you'll read something and you'll be like, oh, that was like Crawdads.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So Crawdads, and then Less, just because I loved Less. I fell in love with the character. I thought he was so sweet and heartfelt, and I really liked it. And then after that, I'm not sure, honestly, my third place book is The Foundation by Isaac Asimov.
Okay.
And I think it's because I didn't finish it that I wonder, like it's still tickling my head
that you need to finish it.
I need to finish that book.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah. And like my worst book is not The Chef.
No.
I know you're thinking that. No. The more I thought about the books afterwards was I hated Eleanor Oliphant.
You did.
I didn't like her.
You didn't like her as a character?
No, she was not appealing at all.
No.
But I still think it was a pretty good book.
Yeah.
I do think it was a good book, but I think it's like looking back, I was like, I get this like overwhelming negative feeling about it.
Yeah, and with some of these books, like Les, for example, I couldn't wait to have the free time to run over and sit down for a little while and read.
Yeah.
I would look forward to when I can chill with my book. And with Eleanor Oliphant, I was like, oh, okay, now's the time I'm supposed to be reading. I was almost dutiful.
Mm-hmm. Right. You're like, is she going to get out of it?
So let's get to yours then.
Oh, it's a toss-up for me. I like Crawdads, and I loved Les. I think I'm going to go with Les as number one.
Colleen, Les is number one. All right.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm going to put Art of Racing in the Rain in there.
Yeah.
Because I've read so many reviews of it. I cannot read it.
Yeah.
Can't read it. Absolutely not. I know I'll put myself through trauma. But I'm putting it in my list anyway because I know it's so good and I'll never read it. I will never read it.
I don't think I could read it either. Like I started it on audio and I'm crying my eyes out.
Really, there's enough in life to make you, despondent.
Yeah.
So would you say Les and then Crawdads and then Art of Racing?
I would, yeah.
Okay. That's good ones from Colleen.
And what about you, my dear?
Well, I mean, this was a really hard one. I really enjoyed Educated. I thought it was a great book. And I loved Crawdads. I think we all did, Where the Crawdads Sing. I liked Eleanor Oliphant. I really liked it. When I was reading through it, I had a lot of questions like, what the heck? Why isn't so-and-so stepping in here? And a lot of those plot lines, especially for those of us who are maybe a little, we know a little bit about social work. And I was like, wait a second, I don't think that is believable. Didn't matter though, because I liked it. I liked your character. And I think I liked it even more because I just went over to Europe, and I spent some time in London and met a lot of Scottish people, and even though the book itself was taking place in Scotland, she had a very real Queen's English accent in the book, and I now understand a lot of it. So there was some of that too. So number one for me though is probably Crawdads, Where the Crawdads Sing, for the same reasons that you all pointed out. It's the book that left me dazzled. I was surprised at the ending. I loved the way that she described the scenery, a wonderful writer, and Educated only because it was such an incredible story, and it was a memoir, so I love memoirs for that reason. And Eleanor Oliphant is going to make my list because she is completely fine.
It just goes to show that there's something for everyone.
It really does. Yeah, it certainly does.
Now, if you remember when we read Where the Crawdads Sing, it was like the most requested book ever at our library.
Yeah.
And you had to get more,
so popular.
Right?
Yeah, we kept buying more and more.
We kept buying more and more. So I checked, and if you want to read this book, there are only 6 holds on 43 copies as of 15 minutes ago.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So
that's
we
amazing.
have a lot of availability and a lot of copies. So if you've been waiting to read it, come borrow it from the library.
That's a really good segue into talking about what you're doing this holiday season at the library, too. And I read about this in the Ticker, and I'm glad we're going to talk about it. You're doing fee forgiveness. And I think that's a really good idea because there's probably a lot of people, Michele and Matt, that go, yeah, well, I owe, a certain amount of money. I don't want to pay that. And so they haven't been back to the library in quite a while.
We are getting stories every day, like every branch, every service desk. It's people who have been blocked from access and they haven't been able to come to the library for whatever circumstance. And so people are coming in and they're so thankful. And it's everything. We got a super heartfelt letter that brought me to tears, I think brought most of our staff to tears, of a patron who went through a really rough time of domestic assault and didn't have money to pay her fines, but still came to the library and hasn't been able to check out books.
Oh.
And now she can.
Oh, wow.
And so it's just this really cool thing that libraries do to bring people back, because that's what we want.
Yeah.
Is people to come back. And, people will say stuff like, fines just keep out books. They don't bring back people.
Yeah.
If they already have a book that's been gone, they're probably not going to bring it back. They're just never going to come back.
So when it comes to fine forgiveness, it really is wiped out completely?
Yeah. Except for if you lost a book.
Okay.
You got to pay
for
for
the
it.
book.
Or if you bounced a check, or if we had some other fees associated.
Right.
But if it's just overdue fines, that you just come in and say, hey, will you get rid of my overdue fines? And we go, yeah, happy December.
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah, and it's also it crosses all socioeconomic and education levels.
Yep.
People might think that, well, it might be the less fortunate in life that might accrue more fines, and that's not the case. I mean, people have overdue materials for all sorts of reasons, and we know about stories from professionals. They're like, yeah, we just don't use the library anymore because I was just tired of trying to keep track of my kids' books that were accruing fines. And so they just stopped using the library
Right.
so that they don't incur the fines or have to deal with that dynamic. So this is a great way to sort of hit the reset button. And as Michele said, the holidays are expensive enough. So here's a little bit of relief.
It's a great Christmas present holiday present from your local library. I like that. We have a book that we're going to be talking about in January, and this is going to be a good one. Can you maybe introduce the book, Michele?
Sure. So it's set in, I think, 80s, and it's high schoolers at a exclusive drama or theater school.
Yeah,
what is it? Yeah,
art school.
Art school. Matt actually picked it out, so maybe I should let him talk about it.
I love it already.
Matt picked it, but Matt has the history of music and theater, and so
Right.
you
Well,
do.
so I was looking for some highly awarded books, things that might be popular. So this is a National Book Award winner, and so we thought that it's kind of high school. It does have the relationship dynamic to it, high school relationships, navigating some of those things in our lives. And it's only about 250 pages long. So if we have to read, while, the holidays are happening, it's a busy time.
Yeah.
So we can still get our reading done and enjoy the holiday season.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
I know, and it
so
looks
much.
totally. It looks really fun, except for so the title is Trust Exercise.
Yeah.
And I was just at Horizon Bookstore getting a couple copies, and she's like, "What's the title?" And I said, "Trust Fall." And she's like, "What?" I was like, "Trust Fall. I'm pretty sure it's Trust Fall." She's like, "We don't have any books called Trust Fall."
She should.
She should, obviously.
Wait,
but
trust exercise, though. Are we sure this is not just like a fitness attempt here? Like trust exercise.
No. Wait, right. It's like, or if you put a comma in the middle, trust exercise. Right?
Yes, exactly. Two things.
But we do have, I think, 10 holds on 5 copies at the library already. And
Wow.
it was just released in the last few months. So
Fantastic.
seemed like a good way to start off 2020.
I can't wait to get into this because I think that there's going to be a lot of elements here. And the last part of the description says, "Never sentimental, always thrillingly alive."
I know.
And I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
I still remember what it's like to be that age. That's why I thought, great pick, Matt.
Great pick, Matt.
And I have teenagers, and you kind of forget what it's like to be like that. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping it's a little like Romeo and Juliet.
Well, I hope with a better ending.
Well, let's
January
hope so.
14th is when we're going to reconvene with our book club here. It's the Radio Book Club with Traverse Area District Library, and you can take part in our book club. It's easy to do that. Get a copy of the book, Trust Exercise. What I have learned, and I will report this, that we have a podcast that is not only on the TADL website, TADL.org, it's on crystalfrost.com as well. We do a video of the chat 2. So you and your book club can pick this up anytime, and then you can use our kind of conversation as a guide with your book club. And I know a lot of book clubs that are doing that. We get little emails and messages of people saying, we just play the podcast, and then we talk about it, because our podcasts are about 20 minutes, not too long. And then, there was no comment when I said, well, who do you agree with more? And they just said, no comment. I'm thinking that probably means Matt.
They're all agreeing with Matt.
They all agree with Matt.
Silent agreement.
Just token guy.
A silent agreement. The token guy of our radio book club. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming in. And we have lots and lots of food to eat in our book club right now of chocolate. So we can do that. The book, again, is Trust Exercise. And I love it. I think it's going to be a really good book. Pick it up. And at least put your copy on hold right now, right?
Right.
Yeah, for
awesome.
sure.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.